All right, we're going to be jumping into the black hole, no pun intended, on what it is and all the different features inside the black hole, which is a DEX on Avalanche that was co-founded by Ellio Trades and Alex Becker that is picking up a lot of hype in crypto the past few weeks. And we'll be covering a lot of the features, like what to look for in terms of if you are going to be providing liquidity, for example, and also a couple other apps that let you do advanced features like auto compound if you do provide liquidity. So we're going to be checking out all of that. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. Black Hole's been doing a lot of like onboarding. So they have 200 million total volume locked in less than 2 weeks, which is pretty crazy. They've onboarded like a ton of coins, a ton of like top tier projects, Mythos, Wilder World. There's a ton in there. Some projects I've never heard of. And that have come over to bridge to Avalanche. So that's pretty bullish news for the AVAX ecosystem. Also, they have, like, if we scroll down, they've been integrating with other like yield type of platforms that like help you compound your yields to like get even more yield. So that's pretty cool. Then they have crossed over 500 million in trading volume, and it's like increasing. That's like they have almost like as much transactions, I think, or something like that. There's a stat that is like almost as much as the actual like Avalanche C chain itself, or something wild.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But what I've been doing is I've been using like this platform called VFAT for one of the pools that I'm in that like also lets you compound. It's got a little bit more advanced features. So you can like just set it and forget it, or you can just manually like harvest the yields. So if we go into black hole, we can kind of see what's going on here. Let me go ahead and launch it. All this liquidity right here, let me zoom in, and the APRs are obviously like ridiculous. I always sort by APR and see like what the top, pools are. So if you have liquidity just chilling, you can deposit your funds in there, and it's earning like some of these APRs, which are pretty wild. You can see the volume right here. I always look at the ratio. So like 11 million total locked, 55 million. That's roughly like a 1-to-5 ratio in terms of volume locked or total volume or total value locked versus the volume, right? So it's like 5-to-1 basically. So I look for that, and this would be a pretty good pool to like get into. And then they have like different like types of you have basic, which is like a pretty wide like net of transactions that your liquidity would cover. Concentrated, it gets smaller. So like, it only focuses on certain prices that it falls into. So that's a little bit more risky in terms of the over like your impermanent loss, which we won't get into that. But it's just price. If like the Avalanche price goes up too quickly or goes down too quickly, like you could technically lose funds that way. So basic is probably the easier one. Stable is obviously the most stable, and volatile is going to be like one of the most risky pools to get into. And then you have Yield Yak. We'll go over to there because this is one of the OG platforms on Avalanche that a lot of OGs used in the past. But you can go here, select black hole as a filter, and you can see like, APY. Now, these aren't the true APY. This is like considering the compounding effect. So you can hover over that. You can see the actual APR is 851%, which is bananas either way. But like, theoretically, like you could do this. I actually was asking Grok, all these different models. I was like typing into Grok, like, what would it be with this amount of liquidity added in? And you can kind of get predictions there as well from Grok himself. And yeah, like again, it has a lot of information, like activity. It'll show you, deposits that are going in. I think I'm not even connected, so this is like a demo, but it'll show you like what it's doing, like reinvesting automatically for you. You can see the info. So like this one saying next reinvest amount 260 in the last timestamp. So it's like super useful. And VFAT is like very similar but more advanced. So we could come over here, and I actually have like a live deposit right here getting farmed. And let's go back here and kind of take a look at that. You can see all this information at your fingertips. It's got 18,000 deposit, daily rewards. So it'll automatically compound that as well via auto compound. You can see it'll
How much are you making
automatically.
a day? I can't see quite.
Yeah, so this is the daily rewards, which will change. So
Yeah.
periodically
But
it'll
right now you're
change.
making $160 a day at doing this.
Yeah,
159.
yeah, and so the APR is 322%. But like again, if this is auto compounding and putting your rewards back into this pool, then that's alleged like that's supposed to be exponential, right? But this is obviously the APR will determine how much your daily rewards are. So this is fluctuating. This was like not 800 to 900% just a couple days ago. So just know that the black hole, how it works is people vote on kind of like what that's going to look like. So we'll go over to this voting page. Um, if you have, let's say, black token and you lock it up, you get like a NFT over here, and you can actually vote on these different pools. So you can select this one, or most rewarded. You go to least rewarded, or the pools. What I like to do is just select a pool that I am farming. So, like for example, this one, I'm farming this one. I would obviously want this pool to do well. So what I'm going to do is vote for that pool, and all the pools I'm in. So you'll get more, APR and more emissions that way. And you can, check your portfolio, and it'll show you like a lot of information right here. It'll show you your locks. You can claim your rewards here. Again, you don't have to do it on Black Hole. You could go over to Yield Yak or VFAT, and they actually have an easy way to migrate it too. So if you've already staked over here, you could uh, actually go over to VFAT. I don't have all my stuff over on VFAT yet, but I could hover over here and just like click migrate, and it'll migrate this in over here to VFAT, which is pretty dope. So yeah, I'm like mine or like yield farming a couple of them, and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's like the tools are out there in terms of DeFi land that are very super useful and powerful, where you can kind of set it and forget it. Obviously, you want to like manage these like daily because it is a game, because like your APR could go down, and you might want to switch your liquidity to a different pool. But for me, I really like the pools I'm in. Like Bitcoin, wrapped to Bitcoin on Avalanche is pretty dope, because I know Bitcoin's going to do well. I know Avalanche is going to do well. And I also like know that the black token and USDC is going to do well. So I've selected those pools, and I do hold a lot of cat tokens as well, which is like their number one meme. So those for me are pretty good like bets or whatever. So I like what I see there. And that's kind of like the big synopsis, and the swaps are pretty easy too. So if like swapping on this DEX, really simple, very easy. You can bridge as well. They have a bridge set up. You can select different, wherever you're coming from, and transfer it over here. So with that said, yeah, that's pretty much black hole in a nutshell. And yeah, they've been doing some pretty significant numbers. We'll go over here to Dex Screener, take a peep at this. It's at $127 million market cap, and it's been pretty volatile. Like it went to 165, dumped all the way down to like 20 mil, and then it's been kind of going back up. People locking and burning black token. So if you burn black token, you get more voting power. So there's like all these interesting dynamics and flywheel that they've thought out really well. So shout out to the black hole team. Very well thought out. The price seems to be sustaining around the $120 million level. So it's been doing pretty well in terms of the performance of the token. And as we continue into the bull market, that might do well, continuing, but we'll see. Everything's risky, so do your own research, and you want to manage those things pretty closely. So with that said, that is black hole, baby.
Yeah, you basically said this, but like some of the alpha that I heard was beings you get extra voting power by burning your black. It's more than likely the people that are going to be voting for their black pools,
Hmm.
because it's kind of like that obvious bias there. So if you're pretty confident that like black is here to stay as a dex, like that could be one of the pools that you might want to be looking at, is specifically that black and wavex pool.
Yeah,
um
and how you could do that is you just go over to the vote page, and then you can just type in black, and it'll pull up like all the different black pools that you could farm. And then you could sort by like incentives, like to see like which pools are getting the most incentives there. or the most like fees and rewards, or you could just come over to Liquidity and type in Black as well to check on APRs and things like that. And you can sort by APR there and see like which pools might be the best for you. Obviously, you want what I look at is volume. So like total value locked versus volume to see what the ratio is. So like this one is kind of like a almost like a less than a 2-1 ratio. It's like 1.51 ratio. So you might get a little good yield. Um, there's only 1 million locked, so that might be a good opportunity. But I like to look at like you want to have like unfair positions that are like dope, right? So for a good example, let's just delete this. Um, let me find a good one right here. The WaveAx USDC, you have a 12 to it's like 12 million versus 55 million. So it's roughly like a 5-to-1 ratio. So you could do pretty good there that because there's just a lot of volume. A lot of people are using that swap. And so that's more likely you'll have 5x the opportunity to farm that. So that's a pretty good pool to look at. APR looks pretty attractive still. This one here too, only 3 million locked in. So that's like a 10-to-1 ratio, which is pretty good odds. So that would be a good pool to look at. And that's kind of how I do it. I wish they had like a little thing that showed you the ratio, but that might be too OP for the DEX.
Yeah.
And
Well, I was gonna say too, like a year ago, I wouldn't recommended this, but now, other than like watching these videos and reaching out to, me or Kyle or something, you can always just like screenshot something like this and send it in to Grok or ChatGPT or Claude or one of these LLMs, and take it with a grain of salt what it says, but like it should be able to help you understand like what all this means and kind of what your best options are based on your risk. So like, I mean, that's something that just like you have to have programmed in your mind with all this, like, let's say like complicated DeFi stuff is that ChatGPT is your friend, and like it will help you understand kind of some of this stuff. If you're like wanting it, maybe you watch this video, you're still not super confident because this is more of an overview than like a straight like tutorial on every little step. Just plug that into your AI program and ask it some questions.